your guys' words here. Drew brought up a comment here in the chat. The NHL players are coming out and saying that they have been sexually assaulted by coaches. So we're talking about big NFL guys being able to defend themselves. We're talking about badass hockey players that can't defend themselves by a washed up coach, right? So guys, this is getting deep now, just because like this is a grown ass men, right, getting assaulted by another grown ass man. Like, what are your first initial thoughts on that, Luke?
Is typical. Like, I mean, look at the Michigan. Look how many years people have been saying this, and God forbid, we just can't believe it. You know, nobody wants to believe that this stuff occurs, but it's occurred a number of times in a number of different sports, right? But when it happens at Michigan, the story doesn't blow up. It doesn't go anywhere, and no matter how much they fight and they try to do it, it doesn't blow up. Then we go over to Nassar with Michigan State because it was more pertaining to women. Then the story is amazing. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And so it happens, people. It really does happen. And the truth is, I'm a social worker. I've worked in this field in a number of different areas. It happens more than you think. And many of the people who are males, who are victims, already know what's going to happen. Who's going to believe me? Who's going to believe that this occurred to me? And if I tell them, they're going to just say one or two things. Either I enjoyed it or it never happened. And the reality is, nope, these things really do happen. And we should take it more serious. So again, I'm not shocked to hear that this is occurring in hockey because there are things you can do to extort that type of behavior. Like, I'll take your career away, or I'll cut your playing time, or something to the effect of like, hey, if you tell anyone, I'll tell them that you are homosexual, or whatever they can come up with to shame the person out of talking.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
Which feeds right into, what do abusers that like control like to do? They will do whatever they can to keep you under that control. And so I don't know how much you guys actually know about like the stuff with the NHL. So the guy was a coach for the Blackhawks. Was he the coach or was he a physician?
He said he was a coach here in the article that I just put up. So the name here, guys, just for people that don't know, it is Kyle Beach, and this happened back in 2010. So
yes. So yeah, and so now there's multiple players coming out now and saying that during 2010, he did these things and he did them to me. Like Luke and I have talked, like in my former life, I was a correctional officer, and I have heard the most outlandish things. And there again, this feeds into the toxic masculinity and emasculating somebody that had a traumatic event happen to them and trying to justify it. I had to take an inmate to court, and it's to the state Supreme Court, and he said that a doctor at one of the institutions sexually assaulted him. And I was like, whatever, and all of a sudden it came out that it was true. Like, there was like 25 inmates that this doctor had sexually assaulted. Like, I was like, holy crap. Like, I was guilty of that. So after that point, I tried to become more aware of, like, if somebody says something, like, you gotta have to take credence in it until it's proven false. But you can't walk into it anymore with unconscious bias.
Yes. So the one thing that I read through the article here is, first things first, is like, he was a damn good hockey player because he was drafted like 25 or 2005 and 2006, and he was rookie of the year, player of the year for these junior hockey leagues, right? And so when somebody like a figure like a coach or a general manager or like an owner threatens to take away your something that you worked your whole life for, you are going to abide by what they want to do to you, like whether that's look at you, touch you touch them. You don't want to lose that career, that fame, that limelight, the cash, right? So So many people are probably thinking, how would a grown ass hockey player, 25 years old, allow a 6-year-old man to do this
Well,
because of everything that I just said. I mean, it's the power control, right?
plus
Power control, and grooming.
Yeah,
and a lot of times we don't even got to go that far to go power control or grooming. A lot of time what it is our brains are trained to go to the most extreme, right? So when we hear that you have been sexually assaulted, we automatically assume that somebody physically held you down and did something to you.
right,
But sexual assault can be as something as simple as maybe the doctor grabbed certain private areas or was caressing certain private areas. That could be assault. Maybe he kisses him on the neck when he's sedated, right? These things happen, but our brains are always telling us it's the most extreme. It's
Yep.
that it's the most shocking thing, and that's because we watch too much TV and too many movies, and we think that that's how it play out every single time. It's violent and aggressive, but no, a lot of time it's very methodical, small, simple things like, oh, you need a physical. Yeah, I need to check to see if you have a hernia, but they're just spending a real long time in a certain area. That could be considered the same thing as assault. And I think we automatically assume, like, well, why wouldn't the guy say nothing? Because a lot of times these are coming from people that we trust. They're doctors. We're not always assuming until we think more about it and go, well, why was he down there so much? And what,
right.
why he keep calling me back? And or and so these little things work. And it's one of the reasons why um in most jails and most I know in most back in the day in most jails used to have rooms where you can go and talk to the social worker and the psychologist, and it was a private room. And it got so bad to the point where now everything is glass. You can see every single thing. Their office is glass. There's